Hello, tile friends. Welcome back to another episode of Tile Money, the podcast where we discuss the business of being a tile contractor. I am your host, Luke Miller, a licensed tile contractor myself. This podcast, Tile Money, is brought to you by the National Tile Contractors Association. This episode of Tile Money is sponsored by Laticrete International. In today's episode, Ben Santos and I continue to discuss websites, and we're discussing how having a great blog and a YouTube channel can really start to attract your right customer for you, and how having these things in place are going to help the sales process along. And this will basically equate in you spending less time with the wrong clients and even less time with the right clients who are ready to purchase because they've been researching you. And that's the beauty of it, is understanding how people shop will really help explain why this works. Because when someone's getting ready to make a large purchase, say they really want their dream bathroom and they're ready, they don't care what it costs necessarily within reason, they're willing to pay top dollar, but they're going to do some research first, because smart people with large amounts of money to spend on their homes are doing the research because they've been burned before, and so they're doing research. This is the beauty of being online, having a YouTube channel, because the more amount of money somebody's willing to spend, the more they're going to research something. Think about that expensive truck you bought or the house you bought. You researched it and you spent a lot of time, months, sometimes even years researching something. But when it came time to buy, you were ready to pull the trigger. So we discussed this. We also discussed how Ben and his business partner went from working strictly for builders to now working strictly for homeowners. So if you're in that situation, you'll definitely want to pay attention to this episode. There's a lot of PowerPoints in here. So enjoy this episode, friends. And before I let you listen to it, I've got some manufacturer news. You know, this caught my attention. It's just such a cool thing that Laticrete is doing. For the rest of the year, they're giving away prizes. And the January grand prize will be a Jeep Wrangler Sport Edition. So Laticrete is giving away a Jeep. So that's incredible. If you're a tile contractor, I would definitely take advantage of this situation. And the link for this will be in the show notes, as well as some more details on this. But basically, it's been running since July 1st of this year, and it's going to run all the way through the end of the year, December 31st. So listen, look at the show notes, click on the link for more details, and go out there and win yourself something cool, maybe even a Jeep. So congratulations, Laticrete, for coming up with such a cool thing. All right, enjoy today's episode, friends.
Everything is on my website. I've documented 3 years of my work on our website, on our blog. Every time we finish a job, I do a post-job blog post with how the job went, with any pictures that I've taken of the job, with any photos or any videos that I've made of the job. I tell little stories about the job. Everyone has a little gem in it for somebody to look at, maybe to learn something. I don't want to sell to somebody that doesn't know who they're hiring. If I'm a number in your pocket, I'll never sell to you. Never. I'm not that kind of a salesman. I don't have that kind of skills.
This is laying the groundwork for the sale. That's why earlier, to take this back all the way back to the beginning, when Ben was saying you don't want to put your phone number on your truck, that's what he's talking about. Because this is doing all that work. This is doing all that groundwork. So that when someone calls you, and Ben, one of the first questions he asks is, where did you get my number? Where did you find me? If they say I found your business card and flying through my front yard, or Ben's like, that's probably not my customer, because they just happened to cross my phone number.
Yeah,
but if they found you on Google or your website or YouTube, you're like, oh wow, this is worth a conversation.
Well, when I ask somebody, where did you find me? Yeah. And they say Google, okay, that's a pretty good, that's just market research. Yeah. But when they say, oh, I'm a referral from so-and-so, I know that lead's worth way more. Yeah. Because they've already heard the good news. Right. So I'm going to treat them a little bit differently than I'm going to treat just a Google review or Google person. Right. But I think the second question is where you really get whether or not it's a good customer is, have you researched my company? Yeah. And people's minds are boggled when you ask this question because they're used to people just wanting to run out there and look and do the tap dance. And I'm kind of taking control of it. And then I usually give it a because. I ask this because I just want you to understand what you're buying and who you're hiring.
Nice.
Right? Nice. And but somebody that says, oh yeah, I've researched your company. Oh, have you watched my YouTube videos, my pictures? What did you like about my website? And they'll usually tell me what part of it they liked. And that gives me more market research or more information on the customer in order to be able to better sell to them, right? Yeah. Somebody that watches my YouTube videos, somebody that's read my blog, I hardly even go into the rest of the qualification questions because that's how powerful that lead is. Yeah. Is because I can cut. The reason I want people to look at my stuff online is because then I can cut right to the chase about what you want. Yeah. You know, I don't have to do all the sales pitch. It's all already been done when you look at my content online. Right. It's already been done. So I'm more willing to go out there and look at your job that way. Yeah. So that's a great question. But you have to have the content there. Yeah. In order for them to ask that question. Yeah. So if you have no content, I really encourage you guys to just start simple. Just start. Don't delay. Like we said, perfection is the enemy of good. What that means is if you're waiting to be perfect, you might be waiting a long, long time. You might never start. Yeah, and even if you start and do something imperfect, you're going to be 10 times better than most of your market who are absolutely doing nothing at all, right? Yeah. And that's what I found initially with what I was doing is nobody else is doing it. Yeah. You know, most of the websites that I see on people's vans or business cards, I always check when I'm behind somebody that has a website on their van. Yeah. I check the website, and what does it do? You already know. It says half the time it'll say website being built under construction. Yeah, exactly. Or it's a broken link. Exactly. Or it's just an outdated website. And what do you think customers think of that when they actually go on those websites? Well, they're going to think, like my wife was saying, my wife was talking to you earlier, she's been in property management, we've owned our own property management business, so she had to research contractors. She basically said if somebody didn't have a website or it was really old and outdated or broken, she would just move on to the next one. She wouldn't even bother calling them. That's what she said. Yep. And she's a consumer, so you heard it from a consumer, like. And think about it, like if you're researching tools and you find what's your favorite tool website to buy from? It's the one that works really good. The one that's really smooth, the one that answers all your questions and has all the stuff you need. The other one might have all the stuff you need too, but if it doesn't work smooth, you can't check out smooth, it's clunky, it's outdated, you're going to prefer the other one. Let me mention this. Yeah. This is a great example. Why is Jeff Bezos the most wealthy man in the world? It's easy. Because he made Amazon and that thing works awesome. Yeah. And everybody loves it. It's too easy. Yeah, it's so simple. Yeah. And the stuff shows up at your door. Yeah. That's a great place to, I don't even want to work for somebody that doesn't research things before they buy it. Yeah. Because I'm the guy that when I buy something, I'm looking into it online first. Yeah. Especially like a $20,000 or $30,000 bathroom. Yeah. Yeah. And those customers, I mean, not only are they researching you, which is great, but they're researching the tile, which is double great because that's half the battle is finding a good tile these days. So the customer that's willing to drop money on you and trust you because they've already researched you is going to take your advice on what tile to buy. They're going to be the customer that's thinking 3 months in advance, not 3 days or even a week or even 2 weeks. I mean, half the time the phone rings, they want you to start on Monday and it's Thursday. Would you say that's true? I mean, big time. At least in my area, that's the way it is. Big time. And those are not my customers. Those are not the $10,000 shower customers that you want. No. And I know I'm using that number and your jaw's hitting the floor, but that's the kind of showers that Ben's selling. That's the kind of showers I was selling. That's what you can be selling no matter where you're at. It's just you've got to do this legwork. You've got to do this. Bath fitters, that's what they're selling. They're selling
a very crappy product for a lot of money. They're selling a plastic tub surround that covers up the mildew and mold in the failed shower for more than you're selling your ceramic and porcelain and glass tile showers.
I think a lot of the thing with residential remodeling is to really think about you're actually selling the intangibles. You know, what's an intangible? It's the things that people do that can't be measured. Like, right. So on a football team, it's like the guy that's super aggressive, or the guy that is always working hard to chase down a player from the backside. You know, you can't really like measure that. Yeah. You can't measure somebody's passion. Like me washing the window at the end of the job, or me doing these little emotional bank account things. Those are an intangible. Those are intangibles that you really can't measure. Yeah. But once you go for that review, it's really easy to get them, right? So that's the difference between good residential remodelers and like the new construction guys. Is the new construction guys may be able to make a really nice shower, but if they worked in a residential scenario, they would be trashing the house. They would be like getting thin set water everywhere. Yeah. You know, they would be doing all that kind of stuff that a good residential remodeler is going to steer away from, because they're aware and conscientious of the homeowner and what the homeowner values. Yeah. So,
in a perfect world, you'd have a mix of both for your business as you grow your business. In a perfect scenario, you would have a mix of both, or you'd really be killing it. In my opinion, you'd really be killing it in the residential remodel game. I think the worst thing you can do is be 100% new construction, in my opinion, because that dries up from time to time, like Ben mentions. I mean, we've seen that recently.
But maybe if you're doing that now, the way we
got your teeth on it.
Yeah, the way we got out of that, though, is while we were doing the new construction kind of like builder work, I was building my Google profile, building my website, building my blog, using all that work as the groundwork. And you know what I would do? And I don't know if this is like shady on the builder, but when we were doing the tile work for these homeowners that were really super happy with us, that the builder was working for, I would ask them for reviews. Yeah. I would ask them, I'd say, hey, I really, they're so happy with the tile work. I'd say, hey, if you don't mind, if you could leave us a review on our Google profile. Yeah. Why not? Like I said, no review, no pictures, job didn't happen. Yeah. And that goes for builders too. Yeah. I asked our builder to write us a review. We don't work for him anymore, but we get the 5-star review from him.
So this was a great example of, start with the end in mind. You wanted to take it somewhere. You were at a place you didn't really want to be at, and you started thinking about how to get somewhere. You don't just, these days you don't just jump in a truck and go 500 miles without turning on your Google Maps or your Waze. You got to begin with the end in mind. How are you going to get there?
Yeah. Do you know what I found too is like the guys that are working 15 hours a day, that are working 12 hours a day, that are working alone, that I know there's guys like that listening right now. And I have empathy for what you're doing, because I've done it too. Yeah. When you're working like that, you cannot think long term. Yeah. All you're thinking about is that day that's right in front of you. That's the only thing you can think about, because you're working 12-hour days and you're just trying to get through that to the next day and get paid and get out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really true, and I have empathy too. I've been there myself. I was working, 10 to 12-hour days, 7 days a week, and had at the time I believe I had four guys, 2 guys and 2 helpers. And I would be running up to 5 jobs at a time with basically 3 crews. Myself as a sole installer, business owner, and number 1 and number 2 crew. And I think I would add another guy in there when I could find another guy. But I remember at one time I had 5 jobs going, and that's just too many. That's a lot of jobs for 3 crews to be bouncing around. And so I was working 7 days a week to get myself out of that situation. I had a goal in mind, was the birth of my daughter. But what happened is, after the smoke cleared, I looked at the numbers, And what happened was I had lost a lot of money because I wasn't paying attention to the bids as well. I was winning a lot of jobs. I was winning a high percentage of jobs, and I thought that was doing good. And I lost a lot of money because I was too busy for my own good. I wasn't focused on the business. I was just focused in the business. So after my daughter was born, like I said, I got rid of the riffraff, and I went down to the best employee and myself. And I started working on the business. That was when I started improving my business because I forced myself to. And I started looking at the numbers, and I started raising my prices and losing work, but winning the ones that I wanted and keeping my one guy busy. The next 12 months, my revenue was exactly the same as the previous months, and I did half the amount of work, and my profit was the same. So that's a good example of just like slowing down, taking 12 hours, 40 hours if you have to, and force yourself to work on the business to get yourself uprighted. You got to upright a ship. I was at the lake. My brother-in-law rented a jet ski. I used to own jet skis a lot, and this one was a new one, Kawasaki. It was pretty fast, pretty quick, and I was doing some tricks and stuff, just like goofing off. And I'm not 18 like I was when I owned my old Sea-Doos. I'm 38 or whatever. But I dumped it on myself, and I actually, first time it ever happened, I ended up with the jet ski upside down in the lake. Well, I was sitting out there kind of struggling at first and panicking because I was kind of far out there. And I couldn't get the thing, like I was literally underneath trying to push the thing upright. I was trying to push it over. It's never going to happen. I was trying to kick it over with my feet and push it over, and I was running out of breath. And so I grabbed the thing, and I rested. I slowed down. And then it dawned on me, all I have to do is boost myself up a little, reach over to the other side, and fall in the water, and that's how I got it over. And it was very easy. And that's just like running the business. It's actually very easy to correct your business and start being profitable. It's not that hard. You just have to slow down and look at it. Just look at it. Just look at the numbers and say, what makes sense here? And typically, there's not enough money. So what makes sense is to slow down. You don't need all those customers because there's no profit there. And find your profitable customer.
Yeah, it's the curse of being busy, right?
Yeah. So I guess that took us away from the Google reviews, but the reason it's all intertwined is because how many leads do you get in a year? How many leads have you gotten? It's July. How many leads have you gotten so far, Ben?
Well, I want to start getting you guys to think about recording all your leads.
Yeah.
On one of our last newsletters, we talked about one of our upcoming newsletters, I'm sorry, we're talking about recording leads on a spreadsheet so you can see what kind of phone calls are coming in.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have phone calls coming in, you can't be choosy about who you work for, frankly. So from March 19th, I started, I got lazy on it, from pretty much last year in October until March.
Yeah.
I started up on it. So March 19th to now, which is July, 29th or something, there's 89 reviews, or 89 leads.
Yeah. So 4 months, basically. So March, April, May.
Well, March 19th is kind of the end of March. So 4 months, basically.
4 months, basically.
So was that
90 leads in 4 months. So 20 over 20 a month, 22 a month.
Yeah.
22 leads a month. Holy crap, for 2 guys.
Yeah.
So that's one a day for the working days.
Yeah,
it's one a day for a business week.
And on my spreadsheet, I basically set it up really simple. I have the names of everybody that called. I have their phone numbers. I have where they got my number from, so web, the whatever, shop, etc. I have what they wanted done, and then there's one other one, what they wanted done, and But anyway, I added.
Yeah, it's very simple,
Yeah.
and in our newsletter, we're sharing it with you. So if if you want it, you can email me tilemoney@gmail.com. And I would suggest you go right ahead and jump on that newsletter, tilemoney.com, and just say subscribe now. Because this is the kind of stuff we're sharing.
Yeah, and it's a fun game for me too, because even a crappy lead, I want to record that thing and make it, put it on the list so I can count them up.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, it's an extra motivation for me.
Yeah.
But the other thing I did for market research is I'm also keeping track of how many people call me for failed showers.
Really?
Yeah, which is pretty interesting. It's like a third of them are calling me about crappy tile work.
About 30 of the 90.
A third of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a good amount, a large amount of people in my area are calling about, shady tile work. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But the vast majority are people that find me online for basically things I haven't paid for. A vast majority of them are bad leads.
Because you could, in 4 months, you obviously didn't do 90 jobs.
No. And out of all of those, I probably booked like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But again, that's 4 or 5 jobs for us is like 4 months or 5 months.
Yeah.
It's a ton of work.
Yeah.
But you have to put in that kind of time, unfortunately. But what I've done is I've kind of developed a system over the phone, qualifying questions, and I've laminated those questions so it's in my truck. But I also have a rehearsed laminated rejection that I really use pretty liberally. I'm sorry, I don't think we're a good fit for your project. I won't be able to help you. I appreciate you calling me. Yeah. And nobody can get insulted by that because I use the word help in there. I tell them I'm appreciative of them calling me. And
and let's go into the 5 jobs or the 5 showers one, the 5 bathrooms one. The $80,000 one.
Oh yeah, okay. So
the dude called you up, or what did he do? Email you or call you?
Called me. Email me first. I love getting email contact sheets. Yeah, because you can kind of I have it so they put in their address, so I can check out the house first, Google, and then I'll even type their name into Google. Yeah. Just to see what kind of information is out there on them. Yeah. You always kind of want to be ahead of the game as far as the information battle. Yeah. You want to have more information going in. Yeah. But this guy contacted me first. And when I call somebody, guys, we've already talked about this. Don't pick up your phone when you're working. Just don't do it. Right. My method is I have an office phone at home. And I run my business like 1993. Yeah. People call the office, leave a message, I call them back. The time I like to do it is right when I'm driving into the job. I talk to them on the car phone, and that's how I do it. Or I call them on the way home, or I call them during lunch when it's quiet. Yeah. And I can really run them through my good process. And every time I don't do that, or I give in to the urge, it never works out. Never. Fires. I'm always spending time running out to a job I'm not going to get. So think about a good time. And I know that I'm really good at sales at 9 in the morning for whatever reason. I have my most success at it that way. Really? Yeah. And flaky people that want you there tomorrow, they're not even going to leave a message. So screw them. Yeah. You don't even have to call them back. That's nice. They're going to get. And if you have a Google profile, you definitely don't want your cell phone number on your Google profile. Yeah. Your phone, I had it for a while. My phone was blowing up gangbusters. Oh, really? Oh my goodness, I couldn't even keep track of it. Wow. It was too much. But that office phone will cost you $80 a month. That's what it does for me.
So this one guy emailed you and he wanted 5 showers done in his house, right?
Oh, that guy. Okay, yeah. Well, this guy left a message on the home office number. Yeah. And I have my wife doing a lot of work like most small business guys do. Yeah. And she'll take the calls and write them down for me, then hand me the sheet or take a picture of it and text it to me. Okay. It works really good. So if you have a wife or a girlfriend or whatever and she's at home, maybe delegate some of that work to her. Yeah. But anywho, she gave me the message, said 5 bathrooms. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. And I always know that people say 5 bathrooms in order to do that. Like, if you give me a good price on this one, I'll give you
4.
Yeah, I'll give you the other ones. Dude, don't ever fall for that. Dude, don't. And I'm surprised homeowners even do it. That's how naive they are. It's like, don't do that. Nobody in their right mind falls for that.
Yeah.
I usually do, hey, full price on the first one, and then we'll talk about the other ones if it works out well, you know? But 5 showers, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, whatever. So I talked to Jason, my partner. I'm like, yeah, this guy called me 5 showers. And Jason's kind of like very, I don't know, he's a realist about stuff. He's like, oh, I hope he's ready to spend 80 grand.
Yeah,
and I said to myself, I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
So I called him back, and he's like, I'm like, tell me a little bit about the scope of your project. Yeah, well, I'm just moved from South Florida, and I'm here, and I'm trying to get 5 showers done. And I'm like, oh, very nice. I'm like, so you trying to get all those done at once? Oh, yeah, I want them all done at once. I'm like, well, looks like you're ready to spend 80 grand then. I said. He's like, oh, they're not that much. They're not that big.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and even right at that moment, I could just like, I just knew.
And so
he kind of gulped too before he said that too.
Yeah.
He like swallowed hard. I could hear it.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But then, I kind of got him back because he was kind of shocked that I said that. And I asked him a couple other questions like, have you called? I always like to ask it. So are we the first company you called for the project? Oh, yeah. And he's like, oh, no, I've called 5 or 6 other companies to get bids.
Wow.
And at that point, I'm just like, I just gave him the rejection script. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Basically, because I'm not going to compete against 6 other clients. Yeah. I asked him if he researched their company. He's like, no, basically.
So you vetted him.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So you don't have to waste any more time.
Yeah. And even if
it's a 10-minute conversation.
Yeah. And even if he did want to like hire us, it's like, you're living in the house. You want 5 bathrooms done at once. We're a 2-man operation. Yeah, it'll take us months to do that. You want like a big crew to come in there and blow those things out. So, yeah, I mean,
did he give you? I never asked you. Did he say this should be like a 40,000? Did he give you a number?
Never gave me a number, but he said that was too much. Oh, those are small. These aren't that big.
They're tiny. Yeah.
I always love when people say that. Like, try to do it based on the size of it.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Like because for us, like a big bathroom takes pretty much the same amount of time as a small bathroom.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Because it's all the same amount of steps.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's hard to explain that to people because they have like the square footage thing in their mind.
Yeah.
I kibosh that like immedially.
Really?
The square footage thing. I'm like, it doesn't matter.
So what's a good thing to say about that?
I say don't think of it try not to think of it based on square footage. I said I want you to think of it like this. For a shower, for a master bathroom, I want you to think of it as 2 guys working in your house for 2 weeks. Yeah. How much do you make a week?
Yeah.
And kind of do the math from there.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think people, your good customers, kind of already know.
Yeah.
But, the people that are thinking square, they don't even that doesn't register for them. But that's usually how I explain it to people.
All right, friends. Wasn't that a great episode? Ben's really put in the work and he's sharing all this knowledge with us. So let's put this into action in our own lives. And if you need help with a website or a blog or a YouTube channel, feel free to reach out to myself or Ben. Visit tilemoney.com for my email link and hit me up. So right now we've got a Tile Money tip with Ron Nash, and the Tile Money tips are sponsored by Laticrete International. And Ron's talking about the 5 core concerns that humans have when negotiating. And today we're going to get into the number 1, which is appreciation.
So, appreciation, autonomy, affiliation, status, and role. Now I'm going to break down what we just talked about, okay, which is, okay, you've submitted a bid to a general contractor. He comes back to you and says, your pricing is way out of whack. You're crazy.
Yeah.
Now let's think about the 5 core concerns that may be violated. The reason why you're having a negative reaction to this situation. First of all, let's talk about appreciation.
Okay.
Does it take work to put together a bid?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Have you invested time? Have you invested in concept money? Have you invested trying to create a relationship whereby you can give this person a bid? So some of the negative feelings you get might be because you feel underappreciated for the work that you've already done for free.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not suggesting that might be all of your negative emotions, but that could be it. The next is affiliation. Who do you represent when you go into that negotiation, right? You represent, in some cases, your business, your family, those kind of things. Well, the other person also represents and has an affiliation. So in this particular situation, this general contractor has an affiliation with all of the people he works with, his team.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. So when you start talking about status, well, status is very interesting in this particular situation too, because who has the power in this from your perspective? All right.
Yeah.
General contractors are the ones who typically project power in these situations. So therefore they feel like they have status. They should be able to kind of push you around and those kind of things. So you have a role power issue, you have a status issue, you have an appreciation issue. And that is a lot of times when you break down the emotions of what's going on, that's a lot of times why people get upset when they're told, can you do any better on this price?
Yeah.
Now, as I've been talking and as we've talked over the last podcast, the important thing for me is that you understand, one, your emotions, your cognitive of how you feel. And number two, you have some mechanism whereby to deal with those emotions so that you can put them in the appropriate box and maybe even use some of that in order to get to a better deal. Okay. Yeah. So 5 core concerns one last time: appreciation, autonomy, affiliation, status, and role. Now, you don't have to violate all 5 of those in order to bugger a deal up. In fact, I'm going to give you the appreciation example first.
Okay.
So appreciation. Let's talk about this. Do you know the number one reason why people get divorced?
Lack of communication, I would say.
Usually lack of communication. A lot of times when you ask that question, people will say, oh, it's money. People leave each other over money. You know, there's never enough money. There's conflict, all these kind of things. But in actuality, scientists have looked at newlywed couples. In fact, in Boston and in Seattle, they have 2 research centers where they'll bring in newlywed couples that have been married for 10 days or less. They'll put them on a couch, they'll plug them into all kinds of stuff, and then they'll ask this question: when was the last time you guys had a disagreement, and how was that disagreement resolved? All of the testing that they'll do, they could be able to tell within the reactions of the couple within about 10 to 15 minutes with 90% accuracy of whether they're going to stay together.
Really?
It's really scary. Now, the bigger part is this. They boiled it down that there's a ratio. Couples who appreciate one another stay together. Couples who do not appreciate one another and express that appreciation break up. So there's nothing else you get from this podcast. Go to your significant other and try to decide ways to express appreciation.
Yeah.
And your marriage will be better, or your relationship will be better. Okay. Well, what is negotiation anyway? Okay. Well, it is an exchange of emotions, but it's also an exchange of goods and services. And appreciation is the number one way to break down barriers. If you start from an appreciative point of view, your negotiations will go better 100%. Even if it's just as simple as saying, hey, Mr. General Contractor, first of all, before you even look at my numbers, whether you select me or not, I really want you to know that I appreciate working with you guys. The last projects we were together went very well. I'm looking forward to becoming a more important part of your business as you are becoming a more important part of my business. But I will tell you that I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah. Even if you were to start like that, it's very difficult for someone to be negative, and it's very difficult for someone to they've got to really dig deep in order to start those negotiations on a negative foot. Okay. Yeah. So 5 core concerns. Number 1 that we feel is the most important is appreciation.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Appreciation is like the grease in the gears. Yeah. If you've expressed appreciation, if you're continually being thankful to your clients, if you're showing appreciation at the end of jobs, if you're showing appreciation in the negotiations, in the jobs, you will be on a better foot than your competitors.
Nice.
I will tell you that a lot of times people counterbalance appreciation because they figure, oh, well, I'm giving them my skill and, they should be appreciative to me.
Right.
Yes, they should. And we should always hope that people are appreciative. But when you're trying to do business, it's important for you to project the things that you want, and appreciation is number one.
All right, friends. So that was such a great, powerful tip. I'm really looking forward to the next 4 concerns that humans have when they're negotiating with people. So thank you again, Ron, for taking the time to share this with us. Now, please like and subscribe to this episode. You can find it on your cell phone, on your smartphone, everywhere podcasts are heard. There's a plethora of apps out there. Share this with another tile friend. And for goodness sakes, stay profitable out there, friends.